Hello and welcome to my studio. We established our studio here in 1985. It's an inspiring setting overlooking the West Lancashire plain towards the sea. We planted the garden to grow many of the flowers which feature in my etchings. I thought you might like to see the stages through which one of my designs goes before becoming a finished print. These are some of the references and ideas that I work from. Photographs of traditional carts, flowers and cottages, churches and villages, even gypsy caravans. The first step is to make a detailed pencil drawing. This design is an imaginary composition, but the references come from garden scenes and from Coberley in Gloucestershire, the reference for the gateway. I have to complete each part of the drawing in great detail, because once the etching has been made, it's not possible to make any corrections on the copper. I often alter and amend the drawing several times until I'm completely satisfied with it. When the sketch is finished, I cut a copper plate to the exact size, and when this is warm, I can roll on the melted wax ground that resists the acid. The plate is now held upside down over smoking tapers, which blacken the surface to give a dark, velvety black, so that the bright lines of the copper can be seen easily when the plate is drawn. In order to transfer the design to the prepared copper plate, I first make a tracing of it on tracing paper, and by placing the tracing face down on the prepared copper plate and drawing on the back of it, I can transfer the key elements of the design to the plate. I now draw the design with a needle on the plate. All of the lines have to be drawn exactly as I want them to be etched. Corrections can be made by varnishing the plate and then re-needling in small areas. Needling a plate this size takes me about 6 to 8 hours. I have to make sure that all of the drawing is just the way I want it before the plate goes in the acid, because after that there's no chance of making any corrections. The plate is now placed in a bath of dilute hydrochloric acid. After about an hour, when the lines are fully bitten, the plate is cleaned with white spirit to remove the ground, and it can then be printed. The print at this stage is rather bare and lacking in depth, but the next stage, the aquatint, adds tones to the design. It provides light and shade. The first etched plate and another blank plate are placed in a box of fine resin dust. This settles in a perfectly even layer on the plate, and when melted, it fuses to the plate, resisting the acid in tiny granular dots. I trace the key elements of the design onto a second aquatint plate and etch it to print background colours to further enrich the print. I now have to paint out the areas of the plate I want to print white, so the acid can't etch any tone there. And with immersions in the acid, bite deeper and deeper tones to give shadows where I require them. The inks that we use are oil-based inks, very similar to oil paints. We mix all the colours from a few base shades, and it's very important that the colours are mixed consistently during the whole edition, so that they maintain the same image on the prints. The coloured inks are applied with muslin dabbers and rubbed into all the etched areas on the plate. This detail plate is printed with all the dark colours. These plates don't show copper anymore because they've been electroplated with steel. This electroplating means that the colours print more clearly and also the plate wears better. It looks very approximate where the colours are being applied, but it's according to a carefully worked out scheme, and of course it's only the details of the etched areas which will actually take the colour. The white areas will end up being polished clean and printing white. So having put all the colours on, we have to take most of them off. Wiping off has to be done carefully so that the colours are not blended in too much, although sometimes a little bit of blending at the edges enhances the effect. When the plates are wiped clean, the ink is left only in the etched areas, and the plates are then ready for printing. The first plate is placed on a marked card on the bed of the press, and the dampened printing paper is placed on top. Blankets go on top of this to ensure a smooth, soft pressure, and as the press is turned, the mangle-like action squeezes the paper into the etched areas in order to take the ink with perfect fidelity. After the first plate has been printed, the paper is peeled back and the plate exchanged for the second inked plate. A second turning of the press passes the rollers back over the plate, and this completes the print. To make another print, the whole process must be repeated. All the plates must be inked and wiped again. This means that no two impressions will be identical. This print is then hand-finished in watercolour. Signing and numbering completes the process. When each edition is finished, the plate will be cancelled. This is done by scoring across so that the plate can never be printed again. It ensures that the edition remains strictly limited. But why etch? Why use what has been called the most complicated and lengthy process of putting a black mark on a white paper? Perhaps it's the combination of fineness of detail and richness of colour, the subtleties of the process, but above all it's the desire to multiply, to let the joy which is captured in the single work enlighten many hearts. I hope that these etchings provide you with as much pleasure as I have had in making them.